If you love me, please don't judge me. Got my hands tied, the power's above me. Don't shoot the messenger, I'm just a puppet here. If you wanna place blame, then look to the puppeteer. Family, fortune, envy, jealousy, privilege, passed on, legacy, secret, sabotage, borderline, felony, suicide, subtract, selfish, pedigree, yeah.
Alright, so the Atlanta weekend review, and yes, I apologize for the shitty lighting in this room, because earlier this morning, I installed a new fan in my room this morning. And for the fan, we had the wrong light bulb for it. And we're not going to get the next light bulb till like tomorrow or sometime this week. So for this video, the lighting provided in this video will be used with a flashlight, and yeah, I'm sorry I just blind everybody with it. So it's gonna be kind of like scary Halloween shit. I hope you're all not afraid of the dark. But yeah, hopefully the lighting's decent up here. I also got my TV on over here too to provide additional lighting too. Since I'm also watching the MLB draft since the Tigers drafted tonight. I was happy about the pick. Getting some more talent into the farm system. But anyway, on to the race weekend itself. There's a lot to talk about from what happened in the Cup and Xfinity at Atlanta this week, and then trucks at Knoxville this week. So let's go ahead and let's talk about everything that happened. So the truck race at Knoxville, what a fucking shit show that race was. Like, just, what a complete fucking disaster that race was. Maybe some people were right about NASCAR should not be running on dirt, period. Maybe stock cars aren't meant for dirt racing. For the whole thing, Eldora produced solid racing in the truck series, but Knoxville was just a complete shit show. Because you had so many trucks and you had the track groove be only one groove for much of this race. And late in the race, a lot of those big wrecks happened because it was only a one groove dirt track where everyone was jockeying for that one groove. And it just led to complete chaos and disaster. Like, the truck race was so much of a shit show that the race went to 4 overtimes. 4. It was a painful fucking death. It was a painful, slow death to sleep. In the end, there was a lot of controversy late in the race about Chandler Smith getting screwed over, which led to Austin Hill getting the win. It's not really surprising. This was just a complete shit show. I think a lot of people were just glad the race was over, so they didn't have to watch that shit anymore. But yeah, just what a complete fucking disaster that race was. From start to finish, like, what can you say about it? Just like, yeah, NASCAR should just do everyone a favor and not run at Knoxville next year. That was just a bad move. Maybe just have the trucks run in Eldora, or don't run dirt, period, and just only do the Bristol dirt race. But definitely not Knoxville, or they definitely need to change something with how they did Knoxville, because that was a poorly done race. Anyway, let's move on. And also in the truck, before I actually move on to the truck race, throughout that shit show though, Shane Smith and Matt Crafton were able to lock themselves enough points. So with that, both of them have now officially locked themselves into the Truck Series chase. So I believe that means that there's now 7 drivers locked in, which means there are 3 spots, I believe, up for grabs at Watkins Glen, the cutoff race in a month's time. Since the next truck race isn't till for another month until Watkins Glen, because we also got the 2-week break coming up after New Hampshire next week for the Olympics. Next up, Xfinity race at Atlanta. Well, it was mainly just a JGR show between Kyle Busch and Daniel Hemrick. Kyle Busch dominated this race for much of it. Hemrick was able to get the lead on Kyle on pit strategy and getting good pit stops. But late in the race, just when you think Hemrick's going to finally pull through and get his win, how does Hemrick get screwed? Let me paint a picture here. You are Kyle Busch. You are on Daniel Hemrick's rear bumper. What do? A. Push Hemrick ahead and get him to his first career Xfinity win. B. Push him ahead and then pass him later on. Or C. Hit his rear bumper in the wrong spot and turn him into the wall. Well, this is Kyle Busch's last Xfinity race, so it's time for Kyle Busch to go out with a bang. He chose option C. Let me be real, I don't think Kyle Busch deliberately dumped Hemrick. Why the hell would you dump your own teammate? That just makes no sense. I think Kyle Busch was trying to bump draft Hemrick, and he just hit him in the wrong spot. So yeah, with Hemrick wrecked out, that just gave Kyle Busch an easy path, and Kyle Busch in his final Xfinity start gets his 102nd Xfinity win. So Kyle Busch wins all 5 of his Xfinity starts this year. And it has been confirmed. Kyle Busch is officially done in Xfinity. For good this time. Kyle Busch is actually being a man, staying true to his word. That is a fucking shock for once. But hey, I'll give Kyle Busch some kudos for actually being a man of his word for once and actually getting the fuck out of the series. A few years too late, though. Honestly, Kyle Busch getting out of Xfinity, that should have happened a long time ago. Hell, if anything, should have happened after he won the championship in 2015. After he won that title, he had no more business being in Xfinity to begin with. So yeah, so it comes a few years too late. Should have happened a long time ago. But at least now, Xfinity can be watchable. And we don't have to deal with leeching. So with Kyle Busch now being out of Xfinity, I think this officially kills cup leeching in Xfinity. For now. Bad news is, though, Kyle Busch can now run up to 7 truck races starting next year. Since he's no longer in Xfinity because of a loophole in the whole cup drivers dropping down in Xfinity and trucks rule. So yeah, Kyle Busch has found a loophole. Will NASCAR change it? Probably not unless Kyle Busch wins all 7 of his truck starts next year. Yep, it's the cost of getting Kyle Busch out of one series. So he can have him... We get him out of one series to have him leech more in another. So, did we get Kyle Busch out of Xfinity? Yes. What did it cost? Him leeching more in trucks now. God help us all. At least Xfinity will be watchable now from here on out. Now that Kyle Busch is out of the series. Because really, that was the only leech that actually won in Xfinity now. Because I think the last time a leech not named Kyle Busch won an Xfinity race, I think it was 2017, maybe Hamlin or Keselowski. Like, it's been a while since a cup driver hasn't won. A cup driver not named Kyle Busch won an Xfinity. Been a few years. Usually all the Xfinity wins, all the cup leech wins in Xfinity have been Kyle Busch. So... I think this kills cup leeching for now in Xfinity. Will that change in the future? That's yet to be seen. But yeah, it seems now everything's been perfectly balanced back to normal in Xfinity. And at least now and now with Kyle Busch out of series, now the Xfinity series can truly live up to its slogan, names are made here. Because with Kyle Busch in the series, that slogan was just misleading advertising. It was just the slogan was actually, names get buried by Kyle Busch here. But yeah, Kyle Busch has gone out of Xfinity. And he goes out with his 102nd meaningless Xfinity win. Anyway, let's just continue on. XRX race at Slainer. It was actually a pretty good short track race. Like, there are a lot of comers and goers in here. There was not really one clear dominant car. Like, Biffle was up there at one point. Deegan was up there at one point. Stewart was up there. Hell, the local hero Ron Fenhouse was up there at one point. But in the end, Marco Andretti would get by Ron Fenhouse late in the race and Tony Stewart. And Marco Andretti goes on to win the SRX race at Slainer. So Marco Andretti is officially an SRX winner. Damn. And of course the big talk after the race was late in the race, coming to with 2 to go, when Hailie Deegan would dump Paul Tracy for 4th. Well, wow, Hailie Deegan actually dumped someone, because I watched that. Yeah, that was a clear dump. Deegan clear dumped him, it clear as day. I'm very neutral on both of them. Didn't really care, just short track racing. But yeah, all I say is, hey, all the Deegan simps are going to be definitely blowing a load over Deegan dumping Paul Tracy. And oh, by the way, if anyone's wondering, SRX is not punishing Deegan for dumping somebody. Honestly, good. Because dumping someone is a self-policing issue. Because next week at Nashville for SRX, guess what Paul Tracy's more than likely going to do to Hailie Deegan? He's more than likely going to dump her to get back at her and get even. Because it's a self-policing issue. You race me that way, I'm going to race you back the exact same way when the shoe's on the other foot and the roles are reversed. So I say next week, do not be surprised if Paul Tracy dumps Hailie Deegan at the Nashville Fairgrounds next week in retaliation to get even. Since the SRX season finale is next week. And also in next week's season finale, SRX season finale, we will have Chase Elliott. Chase is going to be in the SRX race? Damn. So for the first time ever, Chase Elliott and his father, Bill Elliott, will share the exact same track at the exact same time. So next week's SRX season finale is going to be a battle of the Elliots. That's going to be very interesting. I'm going to be definitely tuned in to watch. I'm probably going to have one of the Chase Elliott, Bill Elliott Heritage shirts for sure. But yeah, that's going to be definitely... I think there's going to be a lot of fans going with that race at Nashville Fairgrounds. And there's going to be a lot of viewership for it too. Because you have the reigning, defending, undisputed NASCAR heavyweight champion in the world, Chase Elliott. And also the most popular driver in the Cup Series right now in Chase Elliott. Against his father, Awesome Bill from Dawsonville. That's just really cool. That's cool. We're going to get that next week. So definitely next week's race for SRX at Nashville Fairgrounds is going to be must-watch for sure. Also next week we got the F1 race at Silverstone. And we're going to have sprint qualifying too. The sprint race is going to be introduced in F1 too. So that's going to be interesting to see how that works out. And all that stuff. Anyway, let's talk about the Cup race at Atlanta. This Cup race at Atlanta... it was mainly the Super Busch Brothers show. Like, Kyle Busch dominated the early part of this race, and then Kurt Busch took over. Like, throughout this race, it was mainly the Busch Brothers, Kurt and Kyle Busch head-to-head. At least we got one last good 1v1 battle. It was a pretty meh race. Like, the only thing that made it close to good was the great battle between Kyle and Kurt Busch, battling it out. Late in the race, Kyle Busch would get the lead off Kurt Busch off the undercut pit strategy. But then around 23-24 to go, we would get the turning point of this race. When Kyle Busch was negotiating lap traffic, he was doing a solid job getting through it and keeping his gap ahead of Kurt Busch. Until he got to Kurt Busch's teammate, Ross Chastain. And then Ross Chastain would do the Chip Ganassi team orders, where he would go up and block Kyle Busch and take his lane away, which would open the door for Kurt Busch to get side-by-side with Kyle. And then coming off turn 2, while Kurt and Kyle was side-by-side and they both get past Ross Chastain, Ross would then go down and bump draft Kurt Busch ahead of Kyle Busch. And then after that, Kurt Busch would hang on and pull away from Kyle Busch late. And Kurt Busch goes on to win at Atlanta, in Atlanta's final race before their repave and reconfiguration. We're going to get to that in a little bit. So Kurt Busch gets the win. The Sex God does it again. So the 4th time that Busch Brothers have finished 1-2 in a race. And both of them have won 2 of them apiece now. And with that win, Kurt Busch is now officially locked into the Cup chase. Honestly, it didn't even look promising for Kurt Busch to come close to the chase with how much he struggled the early part of the year. But the last month or so, he's really turned it around. He's had some really good runs. Like, he's gained well over 100 points on the cut line the last number of races. So yeah, whatever they did with Kurt Busch there, they were able to fix it up good. And this also could potentially be the final win for Chip Ganassi here. So as Chip Ganassi, of course, is going to be leaving NASCAR at the end of the year, and they sold the team off to Trackhouse. And this could help Kurt Busch get a good audition for a ride next year. More than likely, I think Kurt Busch, well, rumors are stating that Kurt Busch is looking at the second 2311 ride with Bubba Wallace. And the second Trackhouse ride, it's probably going to go to Ross Chastain, more than likely. Or somebody else for sure. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens in the silly season for sure. But yeah, this win pretty much confirms that Kurt Busch will be, of course, staying around. And he'll definitely be racing next year. And I think for Kurt Busch, when he races next year, it's either going to be a 2311 or Trackhouse. One of those two teams. And Ross Chastain will probably get the other ride or somewhere. But yeah. Anyway, and of course, I heard about the Atlanta repave. And pretty much, this Atlanta repave and reconfiguration, wait for the third year in a row, we got ourselves another civil war in NASCAR. 2019 civil war. It was mainly between the fans that liked the 550 package against the fans that hated the 550 package. 2020, it was the young NASCAR fans versus the boomer NASCAR fans. 2021, we have NASCAR versus the drivers. Because for NASCAR and their reconfiguration and repaving of Atlanta, which the repaving needed to be done, because that surface is old as dirt. Hell, that surface even came apart and they had to red flag the race to repair the track. So yeah, that track needed to be repaved badly. But reconfiguration, the track really didn't need a reconfiguration. That track was fine the way it was. It just needed to be repaved. But of course, SMI and NASCAR, they thought differently. Hell, for this one, they didn't even listen to the fans and they didn't even listen to the drivers for this one. Because for this reconfiguration, they're going to add 4 degrees of banking in the turns, taking it from 24 to 28 degrees. And they're going to narrow the track from around 40 feet, which is like the same width that Daytona is. So they're pretty much going to try and turn Atlanta into a mini Daytona to create more pack racing with the Gen 7 car. And there's no guarantees we're going to get pack racing with the Gen 7 car, since we still don't know what the engine or the aero package will be next year. But yeah, I think the fact that they didn't reach the drivers out for this one and get their feedback or input on a reconfiguration at Atlanta, that's pretty shitty. That's a pretty shitty thing to do. Like, the drivers are pretty much the backbone of the sport. They're the ones that are putting on the show for the fans. Like, if you're going to do a reconfiguration, you should always listen to the drivers and get their feedback and input. And they can give you tips on how to do it and put on a good show for the fans. And it seems like NASCAR doesn't give a shit about the drivers. Like, this week for NASCAR was just a shitty week for their PR as a whole. Because you have this crap, and then you have a lot of the safety concerns with the Gen 7 car, and it's just turned NASCAR Twitter into a complete shit show. Where as soon as I go on to it, I'm like, what in the literal hell did I miss? Yeah, it was just a complete fucking shit show and a complete PR nightmare this week for NASCAR. Like, NASCAR's PR really took a massive hit this week. And somehow with this, I feel like NASCAR is really gonna fuck up this Atlanta reconfiguration without the drivers' input or feedback. And it's really pissed off almost every single driver. Hell, when Kyle Busch is calling you out, and every driver in the sport is calling you out, that's when you know you really fucked up. Hell, I wouldn't even be surprised if in 2022, we have the drivers walk out and we have a situation like the inaugural 1969 Talladega race, where every driver walked out and we have like 2 or 3 competitive cars take place in the field. Like that whole shit show of a race. Would it be surprising if we have a situation like that next year? The drivers don't really want to race at Atlanta next year. Probably won't happen, but you never know with how crazy the world has been. But yeah, somehow I feel like NASCAR is going to really SMI is going to really fuck up this reconfiguration of Atlanta. Because you want to hear the last 3 reconfigurations SMI has done without the driver's feedback or input? Let me name the 3 tracks. They were Texas, Kentucky, and Bristol. And guess what? They fucked up all 3. They completely fucked up Texas and made Texas the worst track in the goddamn circuit. Hence, it's the reason why everyone now calls that track Tex-Ass. And I was one of the few that started that off. And then Kentucky. Well, Kentucky's main saving grace at first, before they reconfigured the track, was that it was a wide track and it had multiple grooves. Once they narrowed it, the racing went down the complete shitter. Except for 2 good finishes in 2019 and 2020 that overrated those races. And then the Bristol reconfiguration, even though the fans like the racing there, all it did is just turn Bristol into a 1-groove track where everybody goes to the high line and you really can't do anything on the bottom, even with the PJ1 shit on the track. And oh yeah, you know what the results have been of those 3 fucked up reconfigurations SMI did to those 3 tracks? Let me name you the results of those 3. Texas lost its spring date Dakota, but Texas got the gimmick All-Star race. It's probably going to lose the gimmick All-Star race if the All-Star race is truly going to be a rotating every year to a different venue every year. Kentucky, we no longer race at anymore. And it's now used as a fucking truck overloaded, as an overflow truck lot for a lot of the Ford manufacturing plants around that area. And Bristol, the spring Bristol race, they slapped dirt all over the track and made a dirt race out of it. Mainly because the spring Bristol races had massive attendance issues, because the spring race has always been plagued by weather issues and no one chooses to show up to it. And I think that's clearly the issue there, because the night race at Bristol almost never has weather issues, and it almost sells out every single time, but the spring Bristol race doesn't. And NASCAR and SMI, they pretty much at that point were just throwing shit at a wall to see what sticks, and the dirt race happened to stick to the wall, and they're gonna try it. All I say is the one thing I think that could make it work out is if the spring Bristol race swaps dates with Sonoma, so the Bristol dirt race is run in June and not in March, where there's been massive weather issues. And then we can have Sonoma early in the year as part of the West Coast swing. That would happen in a perfect world. Sadly, this is not a perfect world. And let me be real, if the Bristol dirt race ends up being a complete colossal failure, there's a good chance that Bristol more than likely loses a date. And we only go there for the night race. Plus, one of the main things that also fucked up Bristol was turning the track from asphalt to concrete. That was its main issue. I believe that was it. Well, I know that was for sure the issue with Dover, because the racing at Dover was a lot better on asphalt than concrete. And I think the concrete not really aging that well, it's really played a factor in, because now Dover's down to 1 date. Hell, they did a repave on Charlotte back in 2005, 2006. That surface hasn't aged well. And now the chase race at Charlotte is now a roval. Hell, the Michigan repave in 2011, 2012, that surface is not aged worth a damn at all. And guess what? Michigan's now down to 1 race. But I believe some fans will be like, oh, but it's going to be different this time with Atlanta. They're not gonna fuck this up. It's gonna work this time. I swear, fans that defend SMI's bullshit, it's like communism at this point. Oh, SMI's previous failed track reconfiguration fuck-ups weren't real racetracks. But this time, it's going to work, we swear it. I'll believe it when I see it with my own eyes. But yeah, and of course, next week we go to New Hampshire next week. So we got New Hampshire next week, and of course that will be NASCAR's final race before their 2-week break for the Olympics, since NBC has the broadcasting rights to the Olympics. So yeah, NASCAR running during the Olympics would be a no-go, plus it would be rating suicide, since they would get buried in the ratings by the Olympics. As the Olympics are going to fucking ruin Japan and make that country a bigger shithole than it already is. But yeah, anyway, enough talk there. Let's wrap it up here. Congrats to Kurt Busch and the sex god on winning tonight and beating Kyle Busch. But yeah, anyway, let's take a look at the truck points heading to Watkins Glen in the Cup chase now. So here's the truck chase point situation entering the cutoff race at Watkins Glen next month, as we're now one race away from the Truck Series chase. So here's the situation. Carson Hocevar, he's 61 points to the cutoff line. He's pretty much good. He's pretty much locked in. If he gets a few stage points, he's pretty much locked himself in. Stuart Friesen, 53 points above the cutoff line. I think he's pretty much safe on points at this point, too. And Chandler, I think it's mainly a battle for that 10th and final spot, with Chandler Smith 40 points above the cutoff line. I think Chandler Smith's pretty safe on points, too. The only way I think he misses out is if someone below the cutoff line wins. Because you look at Kraus, Ankrum, Sauter on down, all of them could mathematically, well, Kraus, Ankrum, and Sauter, they could mathematically still lock themselves in on points without a win, but they're going to need a lot of help in order for that to happen. They're pretty much in the same boat as everyone else below them that's mathematically out. They're all in must-win situations at Watkins Glen. But if someone below that cutoff line ends up winning, then those three are, then Hocevar, Friesen, and Smith are within 21 points of each other, and it gets very interesting. But yeah, I think the Truck Series chase bubble, the way it enters Watkins Glen, I think it's going to remain the same. I think there's 10 drivers you see in the Truck Series chase right now. I think it's going to be the same 10 drivers you see in the truck chase this year. I don't see the standings changing after Watkins Glen. But now let's move on to the Cup standings. So now here are the Cup Series chase bubble standings. So Kurt Busch's win, it massively affected this bubble and changed it completely. So Hamlin and Harvick, we're not discussing those two again. There's no need to discuss them because there's no way in hell either of those two are missing the chase. Austin Dillon, he's pretty much really good on points with 5 races to go, 104 points to the good. The only way he misses out is if someone below the cutoff line, we have a surprise winner. So at this point of the year, Austin Dillon controls his own destiny at this point. Tyler Reddick, he's pretty much 96 points to the cutoff line. He's over a race and a half ahead of 17th on points. Like, the only way Reddick will miss the chase is if we have, of course, a surprise winner within the next 5 races. It could happen because we got Watkins Glen, we got the Indy Roval, and we have the cutoff race at Daytona, so it's going to get interesting for sure. And then you got Chris Buescher, 96 out, DiBenedetto, Chastain, and Bubba Wallace. Those 3 are over 2 full races out on points. Like, definitely everyone below the cutoff line, they're all in a must-win situation with 5 races to go. Unless Reddick or Austin Dillon have a bad race and they can take advantage of it and gain some points, it's looking like they're all gonna need to win a race if they're gonna have a shot at making the chase. At this point in the year, Austin Dillon and Tyler Reddick, both of them control their own destinies at this point. But yeah, that's where the bubble lines up with 5 races to go entering New Hampshire. See you all there next week. Peace.